Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhaled frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just like cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right, game on. So let me float. Welcome to Toker Talk Radio, by the way. I'm Radical Russ, and that's Brian the Red. Hey. And let me re-emphasize that there is no reported connection between the Octa campaign and this Mike McNichols guy who's blocking the New Approach Oregon thing. There is no documented connection to this point. That Mercury story does highlight a lot of interesting coincidences. And when you look at the theory, if you hypothesize about this and you try to play that follow the money, who has something to gain here? And the way I look at it from a political perspective is that Octa would be struggling to fund itself. Octa would be struggling to get on the ballot. And there is resentment between Octa and the national funders who are behind New Approach Oregon. And if the two things made the ballot, the more conservative one would get more votes and pass. That is one theory, but I got another theory. Who else stands to benefit? Well, law enforcement, rehabs. See, if they can do the math like I can do the math, and they can see that, hey, there's two legalization things going here, and one of them has a really good shot, and the other one doesn't really, or doesn't have as good of a shot, maybe they back this guy to challenge the New Approach. Maybe they wanted to challenge the Octa one too, but never got their heads out of their ass in time to do it.
We smell some crap, per se.
Could be some crap. Could be a project. It could be a Project Sam guy.
That's
maybe
what I'm thinking.
Maybe Kevin Sabet flew in and had a meeting. When he was here in Oregon, meeting with someone, and he met with this guy and had him do it. Who knows?
Could be this meeting with the same sheriff that those billboards were linked back to that were funded by Florida.
There we go. Mel and Betty Sembler and those guys. There's all sorts of ways this could happen. But one of the things that kind of brought up my bullshit detector was the quote from Stanford when he says, I sometimes think when he says he likes ours better, maybe he's trying to hurt us. That sounds... What's the motivation there? How does him challenging the competing initiative hurt you, other than maybe to frame you as the guy who would be behind him? But that doesn't seem likely now, does it? What a weird thing to say, Paul. That's a weird thing to say. Oh, he's trying to hurt us. It sounds like Captain Renault's shock that there's gambling going on in this establishment. Shocked. So I don't know. Something's fishy here. Something's really fishy here. And it's not assisted by the fact that I have my own personal beefs and grudges and resentments. I'm not gonna, I'll give you full disclosure, man. Paul Stanford's not my favorite person in the world. And given background here in this area, Oregon reform and all, it's one of those situations where it makes it tough to give them benefits of the doubt in these kind of situations. But again, I spoke to one of the or I didn't speak to, Herb did, spoke to one of the co-petitioners who says, no, there's nothing to this. There's no collusion. There's no link as far as he's aware. And I really hope that he's aware and that indeed this is just a tragic, cruel coincidence. Mm-hmm. And that I'm biased and letting my imagination run wild with me. I'll be happy to apologize if that's the case.
Well, I'm just gonna repeat what I always say: vote for everything.
That's my point.
Vote for everything. It does. Who cares what some group talks shit? Oh, it's not my legalization. It's not perfect. It's not the way we want it right now. We'll have to adjust before we get it changed to the way that we're running it. We were running it before. Whoop-de-doo. It'll teach you how to get along, but anyway.
Yeah. And
just vote for everything.
Speed Limit in the chat room says, also we could take a look at the forces that are behind right now what's going on, the Associated Oregon Counties and this Bovet guy who are behind the dispensary moratorium, the temporary ban on the dispensaries that are newly legal but not yet licensed.
and won't be inspected for at least 6 months.
Yeah. So it just gets into such Machiavellian territory, though. And I'm one of those Occam's razors guy. I'm one of those, the simplest explanation is usually the right one. And when I have to think of, all right, now for this guy to be an Associated Oregon Counties guy, he'd have to be lying in his quotes about I like Stanford's and I think legalization should happen and all that. So, I mean, not to say that's not possible. I mean, what? Attorneys lie? No. But
especially when they're paid by law enforcement or, drug czar, or, whatever.
So I don't know. I hope this guy, I don't know what to think of this.
Well, we'll just have to wait for more facts.
It's just coming out of nowhere. I mean, nobody knows who this guy is, why he's involved in it. He's not. Now, Stanford did reach out. Apparently, New Approach Oregon contacted Stanford and said, will you try to talk to this guy? He won't talk to us. He won't return any of New Approach Oregon's calls. Apparently, he's not returning Paul Stanford's calls either. We'll keep a close eye on this, folks. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Cast your rise up to the skies. What is it to live and die?
Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503@gmail.com or by telephone at 503-853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today. 420 Radio, your ticket to Seattle Hemp Fest. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The Law Office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activist to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired-up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today.
I smoke marijuana, yeah. And in the evening time, when I'm alone, I smoke marijuana, yeah. Oh, marijuana. Oh, marijuana, yeah. Oh, I got my ganja. Dread like a rasta, yeah. In the morning light, I lie awake. I smoke marijuana, yeah. And by the afternoon, I am stoned. Oh, marijuana, yeah. Oh, marijuana, oh, marijuana. Oh, marijuana, yeah. Oh, I got my ganja, gonna burn it up, yeah. Dread like a rasta,
All right, welcome back, everybody. 12 after the hour here at Toker Talk Radio. That's music from Nikki Amini, Marijuana Pop, featuring Afro Man. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio here on 420radio.org. And yeah, I'm a little pissed off. I want our legalization campaigns to just run, right? See, my only initial fear was that they'd both be running. There'd be 3 initiatives out there. There'd be confusion about which ones to sign. And it would divide the possible resources necessary for a successful campaign. But, you know, on the other hand, having Stanford's campaign out there for 24 plants, 24 ounces, I've been lauding for a long time as a leverage on the legislature to try to legalize, you know, because again, you don't legalize, you know, might pass something even greater. And I've lamented the possibility, I've worried about the possibility that if both made the ballot, that the people who support the 24 plants, 24 ounces would campaign to tell people to vote against the 4 plants, 8 ounces.
Because it's happened before.
Yeah, and I'm only... See, I'm battle weary from 2010 with Prop 19.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking of something about that the other day, too. It's like going off on this battle, this Twitter war with a few different people, and they're lamenting, you know, corporate cannabis, corporate takeover of cannabis, the freaking corporations, man, it's the 1% elite corporations, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, let's ignore the fact that every marijuana reform that passed by Citizen Initiative was funded by 1, 2, or 3 corporate billionaire CEOs. But leaving that aside, what one legalization measure did make the ballot that was funded by a marijuana grower who put his own life savings into it? That was Prop 19. And we had the medical community rise up and some of the grower community rise up to fight against ending my criminality. And then in 2012, we have I-502 in Washington. We have some people in the medical community rising up to fight against ending my criminality. And now in 2014, we have, as the Portland Mercury article calls it, the best shot at legalization in Oregon. Big funders, national support, political support, you know, people in high places in Oregon that support this thing. Good chance at passing. Anything that gets in that way is going to piss me off. Now, I'd be just as pissed off if there were some shenanigans going on to try to stop Paul Stanford from doing his thing. Again, I don't think it's necessarily the wisest move to be running this thing again after, you know, however many times it's been run. and again struggling to find funding, and again having to deal with the fact that you're going to have this, Stanford taint all over what's going on. It's not like the Mercury and the Willy Week and the Oregonian are going to stop with their whatever they're going to do. But, while I don't think it's the wisest move, it's also a noble move. This guy's trying to legalize marijuana, and he's trying to give us something really that is something I support. The same limits that patients have. 24 plants, 24 ounces. So it's not like I'm against it. Shit, if it makes the ballot, I'm voting for it. I'll support it. I'll tell people to sign this petition for it. Absolutely. But I'm also going to sign and vote for New Approach Oregon. And I also understand that if there's a place where the vote will break, the number of people who will choose to vote for more plants and more ounces will be more than offset by the number of people who will vote for fewer plants, less ounces. So I'm confident that New Approach Oregon makes the ballot, it wins, whether Octa's there or not. Well, if Octa makes the ballot by itself, I'm not as confident it wins.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, here in Oregon, each side is worried about not just if they'll get on the ballot, but which one will get more votes. Because if they both get on the ballot, or more than one gets on the ballot, and they all get enough votes to pass, it's whichever one passed with the greatest margin. And that, that's scaring some people because they're like, oh, well, what if people don't want my legalization? That's what I come back to every time. They're afraid that the way they're doing things now, under a slightly illegal structure, they're gearing their ballot initiative towards so that they'll just immediately be legal the way they're doing things. And having lower limits makes them say, oh, well, I don't want to conform to this other lower limits when I'm already doing things just fine the way I'm doing them, and that there's really not a lot you can do to convince them to come around because they're like, oh, well, I don't want, your law makes me a criminal. My law just makes me fine. But you're already a fucking criminal. It's like the way you're running things, the way you want to run things, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
I'm not talking to anybody in specific. There's lots of people who know who they are.
So we end up with this situation we're in now, where, like, if I could wave a magic wand, one quick correction. There's 3 things going on, right? There's 2 statutory things. So there's Octa and there's New Approach Oregon. And between the 2 of those, whichever one gets the most votes, even if they both pass, whichever one gets the most votes is the one that goes into effect. The constitutional amendment is on its own. It would go into effect if it gets enough votes to pass and goes into the Constitution. It goes in regardless of what else is on the ballot because the other 2 are statutory. And that one's an amendment. So, but the amendment needs 160 some odd thousand signatures, and they've only got like 17,000 right now. So the chance the amendment gets on the ballot doesn't look as good right now. So, if you could wave a magic wand, it would be just, Paul Stanford, Octa, stop, go away, and McNichols, stop, go away, and then we move forward with New Approach Oregon that has already all the backing it needs to go and get signatures, get on the ballot, have a strong campaign, and win. It's got the same kind of professional backing as the initiatives in Washington and Colorado that have won. But it has learned from both of those initiatives and taken the best from Colorado and avoided the worst of Washington in moving forward.
I would say if that wand was in my hand, I would just say, haters, go away. If you ain't got something nice to say, just keep it to your goddamn self, and may the best man win.
Yeah.
You never heard of those, old... I've heard of those my whole life.
I guess the other side, if you looked at it from the other side, it would be how come not support Paul Stanford, and why isn't it Drug Policy Alliance's fault and these other guys for not backing him and moving forward with that initiative when it could win if it had a lot of money and backing? Well, and to that I have to say, that's a great idea, but guess what? Not going to happen.
You got to look at the history.
Yeah, that bed, that bridge been burned already. It's not going to happen. So we have to live in a political reality and move forward with what's going to work best. But
I'm still going to vote for everyone.
I'm voting for them all. I'm signing them all, man. We'll see what happens. We will end up with legalization. I'm hoping by mid-November of 2014, I can look back and just go, boy, I'm so glad this all worked out. Because I think it will, folks.
Every step forward is still a step forward. And as long as people in this movement keep that in mind and stick to their own plans instead of trying to stonewall others' agendas, then we're going to move forward one way or another.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. It's 4:20 here in the Pacific Time Zone. When we come back, we'll talk about that Washington bill that died today, and also our plans for the future heading up to Seattle tonight. So talk to you on the other side.
Talking to that reefer man.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The Law Office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activists to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email firedupLawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired-up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today.
Let him bring in the beat.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Let him bring in the beat.
Free Weed with Danny Danko from Brooklyn, New York, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and 1 a.m. GMT, right here on 420radio.org.
I can't pretend the king on fire. Blazing. Slightly stupid.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 23 after the hour. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio. I'm Radical Russ. That's Brian the Red over there. And, okay, so the other big story here in the Pacific Northwest is that Senate bill, was it 5887 was his number? I don't remember the number. But the Senate bill up in Washington State, the one that would gut, it would gut the medical marijuana program. It would gut the program. It would gut the program and throw patients under the bus by, making them conform to laws similar to, say, Maine. Anyway, that bill died today. It died today, and the the radical patient community is celebrating. Steve Sarich with the Cannabis Action Coalition had a quote, and it was basically the gist of it was, "The patients destroyed this bill. The patients killed the bill. Ha ha! We killed this terrible bill. Hooray for the patients!"
Ding dong, the bill is dead. The wicked bill, the mean old bill.
There you go. Well, of course, a little bit of inflated self-assent worth because it wasn't the patients that killed the bill. It was partisan bickering over money that killed the bill. Here's the deal. And I'm still struggling to understand this. I've read 4 or 5 different news accounts of this from various newspapers in Washington State, and I'm still trying to understand something. And mark your calendars, folks, because if you've listened to me for a while, I am not shy about calling out Republicans on their dumbassery, right? Mark your calendars, because I'm going to call out Democrats on what I perceive to be dumbassery. Oh, God, I got to lose my tie for this one. So as I understood it from my reading, and please, if you're out there in Washington State and you understand this better than I do, call and explain it to me because it's blowing my mind. Okay, so the way I understood it is there was the House bill that was this terrible bill. It was going to take away home grow. It was going to completely obliterate collective gardens. It was going to reduce the limits down from like 24 ounces down to 3 ounces, from 15 plants down to 3 plants mature. Awful House bill, right? And then it gets to the Senate, right? And the Senate pretties it up a bit, fixes a few things, right? It makes it so, okay, well, 15 plants goes down to 3, but if you're really, really sick and your doctor writes the recommendation for more, you can have up to 15. 24 ounces goes down to 3, but if your doctor says you're really, really sick, you can write a recommendation for up to, 8 ounces, I think it was. Collective gardens of 10 people, 45 plants are completely eliminated, but we'll add in these 4-person collective grows where you could have up to 60 plants if all 4 of you had those 15 plant recommendations, right? We'll get rid of the fact that we're going to tax you all the taxes, which I think the House bill was. They had to pay all the recreational tax at 502 shops. And instead we will just tax you the wholesale and production, not the retail and sales taxes. And I think the House bill had something in it that was, there was no change in the limits of how many pot shops there would be. Of course, all the patients are freaking because these, loophole dispensaries, these collectives would all be closed down. And there's like 100, 200 of them in the Seattle area alone, and then they'd be down to just 21 shops that are I-502 shops. But the Senate bill came in and said, all right, look, we'll have a re-analysis of how many shops there need to be based on medical need as well. We'll set up a separate, kind of mark or registration that pot shops can get if they're medical to help to identify. Yeah, we'll take that into account, right? All right. So we end up with that Senate bill, right? And again, if I'm understanding this correctly, we end up with that Senate bill. And what killed it today on the last day was trying to figure out where the I-502 recreational tax money should go. A Republican offered this amendment. Now, it was an interesting situation because I-502 is a voter initiative, and the way the Washington Constitution is, you got to have like a 2/3 majority to pass anything that modifies the initiative within the first 2 years. So this, which modifies the initiative in some way, would have to get a 2/3 majority. Now, Washington State's democratically controlled in that Senate there, but for a 2/3 majority, they were going to have to bring some Republicans on board. So this Republican offers this amendment to take a percentage, like it was something like 10% of one of the taxes and 20% of the other tax, or I don't remember the numbers exactly, but to take a percentage of the I-502 tax money and disperse that specifically to the places that are allowing I-502 stores. The argument being, hey, you got this new pot shop in your town. Let's throw some money to those communities that are getting the new pot shops, who knows, for enforcement, for whatever. And in a sense, what it does is it incentivizes the other places that are wanting to do bans and moratoriums to want to get in the game. Puts a financial incentive here. Yeah, we could ban these pot shops, but hey, if we don't, hey, some cash comes in. And the Republican behind this explained that you'd want to do that. You'd want to incentivize these localities that have these bans on pot shops to not have bans on pot shops, because then you get more people shopping at the pot shops, you bring down the black market. These places that have bans, all you're going to do is encourage the black market. They're not going to drive all the way to Seattle. They're going to, continue going to the dealer or whatever. And first my mind was blown because that seems like an incredibly reasonable proposal from a Republican. Hell, from anybody. It sounded like a great idea to me. The Democrats opposed it. And the way they complained is they said, well, look, this whole 502 thing was passed saying that there'd be less costs for law enforcement because we're taking away marijuana crimes, right? We're legalizing marijuana. That's going to save law enforcement costs. Why should we be giving law enforcement more money? Okay. And that also resonates with some of the pot crowd who's like, fuck the cops, don't give them any money, right? And I can understand why they'd say that, sure. But to me, and this is what broke it down, the Democrats would not vote for the bill if the Republican amendment that gave money to the locals that accepted pot shops was in it, and the Republicans wouldn't vote for the bill unless the amendment was in it. And so it never got even a vote today. Never even voted. They adjourned. Bill's dead.
Squash.
Now, here's where it really sucks, is that the U.S. attorney there, Jenny Durkin, has already said in no uncertain terms that the wink, wink, nudge, nudge loophole collective dispensaries that are in Washington state do not abide by these 8 federal priorities of who not to bust in state-run programs. And now they're not regulated in any way. And they're still going to go on the way they've been going on, inviting these raids. And the fear is that now these places are that could have been, some of them at least, regulated. Now all of them are in danger of raids. Now there's another bill out there. There's a 6542 that might have some hope in bringing some regulation. And as the way I understand it, it doesn't touch any of the tax stuff. And so therefore it wouldn't need that 2/3 majority. So we'll keep our eye on what's going on in Washington state. But for right now, Washington state still hums along with unregulated dispensaries that are technically collectives of 10 people that accept the next person at the storefront as a person in the collective as they kick out the 10th member. And no testing rules and no guidelines on pesticides and that kind of stuff for medical. Of course, no taxation on medical. And still no registry that protects medical marijuana patients from arrest, no cards. Just recommendations. Recommendations that are fairly easy to get now, also considering that naturopaths and DOs and nurse practitioners have been added to be able to recommend. And there are no pot shops yet, but there's a lot of dispensaries. So now there's still existing that huge incentive for people to get medical so they can go shopping for pot. And the pot shops have been delayed for a while, and so it might be a while before they start. But once they do start, they'll be taxed. 25, 25, 25 plus sales tax. That's percents, folks. 25%, 25%, 25% plus sales tax. And then there's going to be a whole bunch more unregulated, untaxed dispensaries nearby. Right. And never mind that one of the things that prohibitionists want more than anything is for a state to legalize and for the whole thing to turn out terribly. So that they can get these headlines of how much diversion there is and how many raids there were and how much crime there was and how little taxes were raised and how much confusion there was and how many more kids were smoking pot, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So that we have this situation now where medical marijuana ends up being in a position to really make legalized marijuana fail. That ain't nice.
Yeah, especially when, the original legalizers fought to get medical in the first place. It'd be nice to have a little backup.
Yeah. How many more years?
Yeah.
14 years. Well, now 96 was California, so 16 years that we've been here. 18. Oh, yes, it's Fan Friday Trivia. We got to do that. Well, we'll do that in the next segment. We won't forget about that, but we'll have our Fan Friday Trivia contest. We've got a whole bunch of correct answers for this one.
They're better have been.
They're better have been. I tried to make a nice, easy one. So let's take our break, get ready for Fan Friday Trivia. You could win a vintage copy of High Times magazine, so stay tuned.
Yes, we got like 300 right answers.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
As marijuana goes mainstream, you need to be armed with the facts. Nobody can teach you better than Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Ph.D. You may know Dr. Mitch from his column in High Times magazine or his weekly appearance on The Russ Belville Show. Dr. Mitch is also the author of some of the best books on marijuana science, culture, history, and health, including Understanding Marijuana, Parents' Guide to Marijuana, Pot Politics, and more. Visit Amazon.com and search for Mitch Earlywine, that's EARLEYWINE, and order your books today. You can also contact Dr. Mitch by email at 420research@gmail.com.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
.420 Radio, your ticket to the High Times Cannabis Cups.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Will. I don't work at a used record store. I don't own an iguana, although I'm sure they make great pets. I don't have dreadlocks or play the acoustic guitar. I can remember quite well, thank you, and no, I don't constantly have the munchies. When 420 comes around, I've still got 40 minutes of work left. I've never hit a girl on a bike with my car or shot my friend with a shotgun. I've never had to apologize for letting a girl I was watching drown in a pool while I was getting high because, duh, I wouldn't be getting high if I was around children. I'm a regular guy who works regular jobs, just like the majority of all Americans who use marijuana occasionally and responsibly. My name is Will, and I'm normal.
Throw it up so we see ya. Y'all feel the sound that's coming straight through the waves. Well, the music from the earth keeps us sane. I'm feeling that herb when the sun hits my face. You create your mind, so make a mental space. Much respect to all the people thinking green. Not just the color, but the message in between. Now is a mental weapon that you'll use frequently to stop evil people and end their beliefs. Green turns to black, green smoke to black, green turns to black, yeah, that's what we stand for. Green turns to black, green smoke to black, green turns to black, yeah, that's what we stand for.
All right, folks. 39 after the hour, that's music from Revolution, Green to Black, here on Toker Talk Radio. Coming up later tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, join Herb Thrasher and Brian the Red for an edition of the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. 2 hours of marijuana, metal, and mayhem live here from Rolla J Studios. So check that out. Herb Thrasher will be here tonight. I will not. I will be on an Amtrak train on my way to Seattle to meet the Magical Butter people for the Marijuana Vendors Business Fair going on at Magical Butter Studios. We're taking our new camera setup that you 420 Radio listeners so helpfully donated for.
420 Radio Scorpion Cam.
That's right, Scorpion Cam. And we'll bring you back some video on next week's shows. And again, next week's shows, it's Spanibus Week. Gordon Green is going to bring us a report from Spanibus every day 12-minute report that'll be in our Radical Rant segment, and we will find out what's going on at Europe's largest cannabis fair. Danny Danko's there, Jorge Cervantes, Adam Hand from Handmade Apparel, Josh from Oil Slick made his way out there. A lot of people going, so it'll be good to see those hear those reports. I think they're just going to be audio reports. All right, well, let's get to it, folks.
Now it's time once again for the 420 Radio High Times Classic Magazine Trivia Giveaway.
Thank you, Don Pardo. It's Fan Friday Trivia here. Every Friday, we announce a trivia question about marijuana science, culture, history, or health, and the one randomly selected correct guess wins a vintage High Times magazine. And this week's prize is the December 1976 double issue featuring Santa on the cover. And has he got a pipe or anything?
There's a Rohrer belt buckle inside. Yeah, of course he's got a Gandalf down
Got a Gandalf going. There we go.
And of course he's got something on his thumb there. Probably going to snort that.
Probably.
Yeah.
It was
it
the 70s.
Like there's a snowflake on his thumb and a snowflake on the edge of his nose.
Yeah. Snowflakes.
We all know
that's
what
they
that
are.
is. Nah, wink, wink.
So this one is going out to the person who gets the correct answer, who one of the randomly selected people
already.
Who got the correct answer to the question, what is the U.S. government patent number on the use of cannabinoids as neuroprotectants? What is the U.S. government patent number on the use of cannabinoids as neuroprotectants?
And the answer is
663-0507.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, so we had 7 correct entries on this one. And of our 7, it was close to 300.
Yes.
If you consider the entire spectrum of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But so we had 7 correct entries on this one. And our winner today, gotta get the timpani for this one.
Yes.
Is Robert K. Robert K., congratulations. Right. You're our winner.
Congratulations. You're the proud new owner of the December 76 High Times Classic Magazine, courtesy of 420 Radio's Fan Friday giveaway.
Yeah, we'll throw in some hemp wicks, some Russ Belville Show stickers, some cards, and a signed Marijuana Bill of Rights poster as well.
There's some cool stuff in here. I particularly like the Do-It-Yourself Awareness, a consumer's guide to inner space gym equipment.
There we go. All right, so now it's time for this week's question. And this week, it's going to be a tough question because I am holding in my hand the February 1977 issue of High Times magazine that is near and dear to me for 2 reasons. In fact, I'm still not sure I should give this away. I want to keep this. It's so good.
Maybe you should.
I might keep this, but you know what? I love my fans.
Oh,
I will let this out. I will let this go, even though for me, it would hold incredible sentimental value.
It'll balance the between us for you giving away the Bob Marley issue.
That's right. There you go. It's my karmic debt to Brian will be settled.
Yes,
for giving away the Bob Marley
weird
issue.
Because I feel like this weight just freaking went away.
All right. So here's, and this is not the main reason.
Russ.
This is not the main reason, but check out the cover.
I appreciate your sacrifice.
It's the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers on the cover.
What?
Right?
Look at that, man. That's such a colorful issue. That's like, you want a trip just looking at it.
But that's not the reason it's so sentimental to me. The reason is right there in the corner. Interview. Harvard's High Doctor. Folks, an interview with Dr. Lester Grinspoon in this High Times magazine.
No freaking way.
From 1977. Dr. Lester Grinspoon.
That
the
is
father of American medical marijuana.
Oh, man. You know, if we could get him to sign that.
Yeah, maybe I should just keep this.
Nah.
There's also an article, Jazz, Dope, and New Orleans, Going Bananas in Brazil, Secret Hash Smoking in Mexico, and oh, what's this? What? Brian, all about hash oil. What?
Hash oil?
I thought...
Wait, Is this 1977?
Yeah, I thought hash oil wasn't just invented just in 2011.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, maybe our clocks haven't adjusted to daylight savings time after all.
Hash oil is indeed a potent and concentrated substance, which, in high enough doses, is definitely trippy. How potent and concentrated? Well, hashish is made by gathering the resin of the marijuana plant, etc., etc., etc. $15 to $20 a dose, it says.
Ooh.
And, of course, we get... Oh, look at there.
Oh.
Hash balls? What is that?
Yeah, those are bubble hash balls. These are... Yeah, you can tell by the little lines on the bag. Because they didn't have microfiber bags back then. They had to have... It was probably like a hemp cloth that they were using. Where's this from? Let's see.
I have to find the article that goes with it. But anyway, we're going to give this one away. Here, let me give that to you and you fix that.
Sierra Madre hash. Ooh.
All right, so High Times with the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers on the cover. An interview with Dr. Lester Grinspoon. A centerfold of Sierra Madre hash balls. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going this way. All right, February 77 issue goes away next week with a Freak Brothers comic in it. This one goes to one of our random listeners who gives the correct answer to this question. In which years did the United States experience the lowest and highest rates of 12th grade lifetime marijuana use, and what were those rates? In which years did the United States experience the lowest and highest rates of 12th grade lifetime marijuana use, and what were those rates? And you could win this High Times magazine from 1977.
What's the span of this? What's the year span that they have to look for?
That you can prove.
1776.
That you can prove.
Oh, that they've got.
If you can prove this stat, that's the proof.
Okay.
If you could find me a stat from 1790, then all right. If you can find 12th grade marijuana stats from 1790, you have at you. Please, I'd love to know.
This is awesome article here. Hash oil, will it solve the psychic energy crisis?
Yeah, loving it. And we're giving away these High Times all throughout the rest of this year. Every week, every Friday here on our Fan Friday Trivia. So thanks for being a part of it. We appreciate you very much.
It mentions O'Shaughnessy's paper in 1839.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Somebody in the chat room said I should get Dr. Lester to sign it. Dr. Lester probably won't be traveling much anymore. He and his wife have just moved into a assisted living facility in Massachusetts. They're doing fine. I mean, they're healthy and everything, but they're just, you guys 85, man. I don't know if I'll get to see him again.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Are you or is someone you know a marijuana smoker? Have you or is someone in your family been arrested for a marijuana violation? You need to know the truth about pot. NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, is the most comprehensive source of information regarding marijuana and its effects on health, as well as legal issues. NORML even offers a database of lawyers specializing in cannabis in your area. NORML, the nation's largest and most successful marijuana law reform organization, has spent decades gathering the knowledge and science on everything related to cannabis. NORML is the best resource to find out the truth about marijuana, connect with a lawyer in your area, or help find an end to prohibition. Information is available at norml.org, that's NORML.org, or toll free at 888-67-NORML.
Hemp Radio starring Patty Cakes from Orange County, California. Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific on 420radio.org.
Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit marijuanaissafer.com.
Cool me down, river burning alleys, my heart's burning for that hill country girl. Look and I'll find along the burning alleys the answer, no question, my hill country girl. Is cool as water, sweeter than blue bonnets, sweeter than spring. The light in her eyes has left me believing, can't help but loving that hill country girl.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Toker Talk Radio. 52 after the hour, winding things up here on a Friday, getting ready for the weekend, gonna do a lot of traveling again. So I get on a train tonight, literally an hour after the show ends, and I head to Seattle for the weekend to cover that, and then I take the train back Monday morning, and I do Monday's show here from the studio, and then Tuesday I get on a plane and I fly to Chicago Midway, and then from Chicago Midway, fly to Atlanta, Georgia, and land an hour before Tuesday's show begins. So we'll see how that turns out. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, shows from Atlanta. Saturday, the 22nd, the Southern Cannabis Reform Conference. Then, following that conference, I'm going to make my way up to South Carolina. I believe that's the schedule, to do shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Back to Atlanta on Thursday, flying out at 6:15 in the morning. We'll land in Portland 10 in the morning and have time to do Thursday's show and Friday's show from Portland. Then Saturday, the 29th, get on a train to go to Eugene, Oregon with Brian the Red, where Sunday and Monday we will be at the Oregon Marijuana Business Conference. Actually, just Sunday we will be, because we're taking the train back on Monday. I speak on Sunday. And then we'll be back from Eugene on Monday the 31st in enough time to do the show on Monday. So between today and April, I'm on the road somewhere. Coming or going. Wow. All right. Let's take a look at some miscellaneous stories that have piled up here in the inbox before we end the week here. Big news, Utah. The headline is, Utah set to become the 22nd state to legalize medical marijuana. It's inaccurate because it wouldn't be 22, it'd be 21. And it's inaccurate because it wouldn't be medical marijuana, it would be CBD only. When I remake my map, when these new bills pass, I will be using a different color for a CBD only or a research only program as compared to an actual medical marijuana program. The other headline we've got, marijuana users, Brian pulled this one up, marijuana users have better cognitive skills, study finds. University of Minnesota's Center for Neurobehavioral Development suggest marijuana use at an early age may not be that detrimental to cognitive functioning. Quote, marijuana users were high functioning, demonstrating comparable IQs to controls and relatively better processing speed, end quote. The study, published March 12th in the Journal of Clinical and Experimental Neuropsychology, found that college students who used marijuana scored better on tests of processing speed and verbal fluency. The study compared the performance of 35 non-users and 35 daily marijuana users who began using marijuana before the age of 17. You know, one in 6 of them become addicted and they lose 8 points of IQ. You remember, right?
On all their motivation and all that shit.
Quote, marijuana use during this age span has been most strongly associated with cognitive impairment, end quote. But overall, the team concludes the study provides a comprehensive cognitive profile of college-age daily marijuana users, and again, found no significant differences in tests of working memory and verbal learning. However, marijuana users performed slightly worse on tests of motivated decision-making, engagement, and verbal memory. But marijuana users were high-functioning, demonstrating comparable IQs to controls and relatively better processing speed. That's the important part, the comparable IQs to controls.
I think you got a new tweet for @Sam.
Yeah, I got to send this out to Kevin Sabat.
There's another talking point knocked away.
Bing! There you
out
go.
of the park.
Out of the
Sorry,
park.
you can't stand on that ground anymore. The iceberg is broken.
Let's take a look too. There was another story that I wanted to get to in Toker Talk Radio. I love the Tabor story out of Colorado that they may be having to give tax refund checks.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing in so much tax money from legalization.
People who voted against it are going to be getting a check for could be anywhere between like $10 and $30 maybe, and they'll be
whatever it is,
even if it's like $1.50, they'll be like recreational marijuana refund, tax refund. They'll be like, it'll make them think at least.
Hey, why not? And another thing, from here in the Pacific Northwest, first Seattle pot tour kicks off this weekend. There's a company, Kush Tourism, that is starting their pot tour. And they're going to start at the Boro School, a glass blowing studio.
Yeah, nice.
They'll get to meet and watch the artists blowing glass, which is really cool. I've gotten to see it so many times now. But
I think that's the guys who make Boro Farm.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And then the guests will be shuttled to Herb's house in Ballard. It's a medical marijuana dispensary where guests will see a grow and trimming demo. Cool. Then it's off to White Center for a pot cooking class. That's awesome. You got to be 21 and older. There's no smoking on the tour, and the 5-hour tour runs around $150. All right. Or you can watch what we bring you back from Seattle this weekend at the marijuana business event. We're talking to a lot of vendors there, up there in Seattle. Big thanks to Magical Butter for having us up there.
Yeah.
We're going to have ourselves a funky good time. And coming up again later tonight, Herb Thrasher Flower Hour at 8 p.m. At 10 p.m., you get Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink. And you get 2 episodes of that back to back. And then you get Red Eyes Reggae Flashback. So you get a whole night of music here on 420 Radio to take you into the weekend.
Yep. And pretty much a whole night with Brian the Red.
That's right, because he'll be here for the Herb Thrasher Show. So check that out. I'm going to go get myself on a train, and I will talk to you again all on Monday with some new film. And again, Spanibus Week starts next week as well. Thanks for being here. Thanks for donating at 420radio.org. You can become a VIP member today for as little as $4.20, but give more if you can. Help us out with a monthly donation to help pay for the bandwidth, new equipment, more train and plane tickets for Brian, etc. The more you donate, the bigger this gets. That's all I can say, man. We're nonprofit. We redirect all our donations into making this better. I got to do all my taxes and reports, too. All right, that's it. Thanks for being here. Stay tuned for the Jody Emery Show coming up next. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,